Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Mr. Nipun Sharma, Senior Manager, Solution Engineering, Salesforce, joining us here today to lead us through the topic, the Digital Innovation Imperative.
No problems. Yeah, good evening, everyone. I think when she said there are only 3 sessions left before the break, the interest level automatically goes down, but I'll keep it brief. I'll try to keep it as interesting as possible. So I'm Nipun. I manage a pre-sales teams for Salesforce India for 2 of our solution offerings, Service Cloud and Platform. And my topic of today, today's topic is actually inspired by a couple of solutions which are part of the portfolio. And the topic is the digital innovation imperative, but primarily what is the role played by low-code and pro-code platforms, and how does the platform strategy really influences how your digital transformation journey will look like. But before I start, I want to give a quick thank you, first of all, to the speakers. I think we have already had some amazing sessions. My personal favorite was the supply chain session done by, I think, a partner from Deloitte. And also to the audience for choosing to spend your time here, and of course the organizers for actually conducting this event. I'll not really spend too much time on what we already know, that what is the importance of digital transformation, but what I'll really focus on, what kind of platform strategy can companies deploy, and also talk about a couple of customer examples, or Salesforce trailblazers as we call them, and how they have utilized the power of low-code and pro-code platforms. But just to set a context, right, we are in a world where expectations from not only our customers, but also our employees and every stakeholder is sky high when it comes to digital. In fact, 84% of organizations are changing their digital strategy, sometimes even from scratch. And that has led to what we call as the digital imperative. It is no longer an option for companies to actually think about or delay the inevitable digital transformation journey. It has become a mandate to rethink that how does your traditional customer engagement transform into a connected, unified experience. I think there were a lot of good examples taken in the panel as well. To give a personal example from my own observations, when companies like Zepto or quick commerce came in, right, I honestly never thought this would work. But why would I need grocery in 10 minutes? Fast forward many months or a year, Zepto is one of the most used apps I have on my phone. And so is the case of a lot of my friends and people I know. That is how the entire paradigm of how we think, how we experience simple thing as going down to a kirana shop, to a retail shop, to buy a razor or buy a packet of chips, that itself has transformed. Why don't I just sit in my comfort of my home, pay a small premium, sometimes not even that, and get that packet of chips delivered within 10 minutes at my home? Think about banking. How many times do we actually go to a banking branch anymore? Things like issuing a checkbook, a debit card pin reset, whatever. Almost every service request can be handled digitally now. Someone, I think, spoke about the matter of telehealth, telemedicine. Companies like Practo, 1mg, have revolutionized how telehealth really looks like. Today, I can see where my doctor is sitting, which hospital they are, and what time can I visit them. I don't really need to wait when I go to the hospital. With 1mg, companies like 1mg, I can just upload my prescription, get it vetted by an actual doctor, and get my medicine delivered at my doorstep. That is how the entire paradigm of traditional customer engagement is changing towards more connected digital experiences. But we all know, and I think a lot of us in this audience would appreciate, that this journey is very, very hard. I know it's very fancy to say that we are undergoing digital transformation, we are doing this, we are doing that, but the reality is it is riddled with difficult decisions about what kind of infrastructure management you want to do. How do you combine that silo data? How do you reuse, or how do you bring in automation in this entire journey? It is easier said than done to actually achieve that milestone which you're looking at. What companies really need is platforms that unlock new talent. 87% of IT leaders say right now that customer experience is a high priority. But ironically, only 46% of IT teams' efforts are going towards driving that innovation. Most of the efforts are going towards mundane work or BAU activities. We all know that customer experience, CX, or employee experience, EX, is the primary goal for us. But what companies really forget is there's something called DX. It's a developer experience. That truly is the secret sauce in order to achieve that CX you really want. That is, how do you really enable your development teams, your partners, developers, with the right tools, right automation capabilities to build that particular vision. And typically, your platform strategies fall in two categories. On one hand, it is low code, which essentially refers to platforms which have a GUI or graphical user interface or drag and drop capabilities, automation, reusability, etc. And on the other hand, it is pro code, which is a more traditional approach of development, where you own the entire cycle of building, testing, optimization, etc. But in reality, somewhere in the middle would your sweet spot lie for any company. Companies will end up using either a combination of low-code and pro-code platforms to build that experience, or they might use low-code platforms but extend the capabilities of the platform with coding or programming. Low-code, especially in recent times, has gained relevance manifolds. If you talk about some of the studies, 50% of it is estimated that 50% of enterprises will be using low code by end of this year, and 65% of all app development will be done by 2024. In fact, a lot of the citizen development initiatives or movement is being powered by such low code platforms. To give an example, BMC knocked out a 2-year request backlog within 3 quarters using such a low code platform. So that is the power of low-code platforms, and there is really no going back. We cannot go ahead with the traditional coding mechanisms or the pro-code capabilities. It has to be driven by low-code with a combination of pro-code. To give an example of one of our Salesforce customers, or what we call as Salesforce trailblazers, Porter. I'm sure that everyone would be knowing about the company. They practically revolutionized how we looked at logistics sector. Right? So they have been our customers for a very long time, since 2016 in fact. Before that, they were using a basic CRM automation tool to manage their leads and lead conversion. When their business actually grew and the scale became very important, they had to look for a different option or different platform to manage that lead conversion, because they didn't want the developers to spend time on such activity. They wanted the developers to spend time on the core product offering. That is where Salesforce really came in. With Salesforce, they were able to streamline the entire lead management system, leading to 80% decrease in lead conversion time. They also use Service Cloud to manage the post-sales experience for the customers by using omnichannel service. And they also improve the driver onboarding experience. So driver partners for them is a critical element in the entire ecosystem. Onboarding of a driver that time, before Salesforce came in, used to take 6 hours to scanning the app, scanning documents, etc. That was painful for not only Porter, but also the driver partners who were anyways very impatient about how the process is going. After Salesforce came in, that process went down from 6 hours to only 45 minutes, improving the experience for driver partners as well. So that is the power of how low-code platforms such as Sales and Service Cloud not only improve the experience, but also led to creation of a customer 360-degree view, wherein anyone looking at that particular customer record has a view on what kind of orders they have, what kind of complaints they have raised, what is the backlog in leads, etc. That is how Porter is using that. And what Porter did, as I said earlier, a combination of low-code and pro-code. So they have a very innovative marketing tactic. If you ever see a Porter truck, with branding of Porter, I mean, that driver essentially is getting more incentives. They are also getting preferential booking. Because as per their program, if you do that, basically you will get that benefit as a driver partner. But you have to send periodically a proof of that branding on the truck to Porter. And that process was very archaic and manual earlier. Using coding or using basically customization on Salesforce, they were able to consume much larger number of documents, around 15,000 a month at that point of time. I'm sure it will be much more now, to process the documents in an automated way and improving and actually verifying that that driver actually has Porter's branding on the truck. So at a high level, this was some common examples how Porter has actually used combination of low-code capabilities of Salesforce and extended that with coding whenever required. Moving a bit towards pro-code, what we have seen is the shift in the attitude or shift in the thought process of companies. That where do we really spend time of a development team? Should they focus on the infrastructure management or should they only focus on the app development and innovation? Answer, of course, is the latter one, right? That they really want to, or the development teams to focus efforts only on innovation and app development. That has led to rise of something what we call as PaaS, platform as a service. Right now, there are multiple PaaS like systems available or platforms available. I'll talk about one of the examples because it is part of our Salesforce family, Heroku. What Heroku really does is spare your developers or development team from the monotonous work or the other activities which are not really adding value to your final product offering, such as orchestration, monitoring, security, networking, scalability, right? Heroku gives you that. It is one of the best platforms available right now. It also has, for example, options for open source languages. You can code in any language you want and help and run and deploy applications on the platform. It also has 12-factor app, for example, which are the industry-wide 12 best practices to develop your apps. Essentially, the apps built on Heroku are resilient, performant, and scalable. So most importantly, especially in a B2C scenario. To give a quick example of how one of our customers has used the platform in a great manner, Pidilite. Even if you may not have, some of you may or may not have heard the brand or the company name Pidilite, you have at some point of your life used one of their products, Fevicol or Fevicryl. So Pidilite also has been our trailblazers for a very long time. They also use our low-code capabilities, Sales and Service Cloud. But I'll talk about some of the apps they have built on Heroku. They had fundamental challenges on how do they manage their contractor engagement, who are the primary or the main element in their entire ecosystem of selling the actual product like Dr. Fixit, right? Also, they had issue of how do they manage their influencers. So influencers for them are teachers in colleges or schools who run workshops on craft, wherein they are able to upsell or they are able to promote the brands such as Fevicol and Fevicryl. For a very long time, they were not able to understand what is the efficacy of those workshops. Are we actually even getting a return on the workshop or the money which we are spending on influencers? From contractor perspective, the field marketers, which are around 1,400 in number, they were not able to understand how do we help contractors, right? They were inviting the same contractors for different events. So essentially what they did was they built multiple apps. I'll just talk about 3 key apps here. One is Dr. Fixit, which has more than 50,000 downloads now. What that app really does is help contractor get training material on the app, create custom codes, and also reach out to Pidilite if they need any service help. With the app, the one more app called Team App. It basically stands for training, evolve, activate, and monetize. This app was built in only 2.5 months. This app basically helps reduce the monetization time from 3 months to only 1 week for your influencers. Influencers can get training materials, all kind of data they require to actually do the workshops in a better manner. And finally, the iTrack apps. There are around 20 lakh contractors which Pidilite has right now. And iTrack app actually helps those 20 lakh contractors manage the entire virtual meetings, contractor visits, and understand which contractors are visiting what territory and what is the efficacy of those visits. This was an example of how Heroku or a PaaS has been used by a customer like Pidilite, which is the market leader in adhesives and sealants, in a great manner. And to summarize, these are some of the pointers which a company can actually look at while deciding their platform strategy. But there is no silver bullet, right? And when you embark on that journey, the most important decision you might actually take is to choose the platform which you go ahead with. Is it a combination of low-code, pro-code? Is it only pro-code, or is it only low-code? And that basically will define how your journey will ultimately go like. Thank you very much. I hope it resonated with some of you here. Thank you.